Well, thanks for everyone for attending the Graph AI Summit. We're glad everyone could appear. We know that your time is extremely valuable, so we want to make the best use of it. And I know we will today because we have such an outstanding panel of people from all across the technology landscape. What we're going to talk about today is accelerating digital transformation with graph and artificial intelligence. And so we're going to talk a lot about these topics, go deep and talk about what's really happening in the real world. That's what we want to know, and how it's going to improve your business. And that's our focus today. So I want to introduce the panelists right now. The first one is Harry Powell. He's the Director of Data and Analytics at Jaguar Land Rover.
Yeah, I'm Harry. I run the team at JLR. We're an automotive manufacturer, so we make cars, we make Range Rovers, we make Jaguars. My team, I guess, spans the whole of what you think of as kind of data and analytics, from engineering through data science, data analytics, data transformation, digital transformation, highly focused on value creation, by which I mean profit, I guess. I guess our link into Graph is that we used Graph on supply chain to manage supply chain, particularly during COVID, which was quite a success, I guess, for us. And we're interested in now applying it to quality and other issues within the business. That's us.
Excellent. I remember a car was just something you put gasoline in and check the oil, and it's a whole new device nowadays. So. Next person on the list is Jan Ippen. He is the CEO of Ippen Digital. Maybe you can provide some background and what you're seeing there with AI and Graph.
Yeah. Hi, my name is Jan. We are located in Munich, Germany. We are a small unit from a regional publishing group. And we create a publishing platform targeting especially small and medium-sized regional publishers. With that, we built a complete publishing environment, which serves for the smaller units to be able to focus on creating content and leave the whole technology stack and the whole distribution efforts towards the platform. And for this, we grew to one of the biggest news publisher in Germany within the last years. And we use massive amount of data. Our core is a triangle of user data, of content data, and monetization data. And within this talk, we will touch the other points. So in general, news are important. We are sitting here of COVID and pandemic, and data related to news in this environment will be a very interesting topic to talk about today.
Great. It's always good to hear growth in the media industry. I know it's not necessarily been the case for the traditional publishers, but it does show that this technology can really transform industries in a very positive way. The next person on our panel is Dr. Jay Yu. He is a distinguished engineer and architect at Intuit. He was on my panel last year for our conference last year, and I would call him Dr. J. So he's fine with just being called Jay or Dr. J. So yeah, maybe you can go into your background.
Hi, Tom. Nice to be invited back on this esteemed panel. I'm Jay. I'm currently leading advanced research and development in knowledge graphs, language modeling, and behavioral data science at Intuit's Technology Futures team. So at Intuit, we actually provide a lot of flagship products to help our customers manage their personal finance, taxes, as well as their small business accounting and running the business day to day. We're in a very interesting and aggressive journey to transform from a product company, financial product company, into an AI-driven expert platform company. And Knowledge Graph plays a central role in that transformational journey. So I'll share a little bit of those later in the panel.
Okay, great. And the last person on our list, and by far not the least, is Abdel Magna. He is the Vice President and Senior Partner at IBM on the services side.
Hey, Tom, good to be here. Good to be part of this panel. Team, my name is Utpal Mengla, and I lead innovation for IBM in the telecommunication, media, and entertainment industry. And I'll be delighted to participate and share experiences with AI, machine learning, and how it's helping with digital transformation.
Okay. Excellent. So let's get started. I cover AI and digital transformation for Forbes. I write books about it. I wrote a book during the COVID-19 crisis, and it was hard not to miss that there was this huge urgency for companies. I mean, they had no choice. They had to use technology. There's just no way. We're on Zoom right now. Life is forever changed because of these great technologies, and we're probably going to see some long-term impacts of this. So the first question I have is, what are the biggest changes from the COVID-19 pandemic? What does it mean to your clients, and what does it mean to your organization? So maybe, Jan, maybe we can start with you, and you can provide some of your viewpoints on what you're seeing out there and what we might see in the future.
Yeah, thanks. The most obvious is the really explosion of interest in news. Everybody was confused. Everybody was anxious, and nobody knew about this pandemic, and that really led to a growth that in the high times doubled the request for news as we could measure, and for this. The digital branches of news outlets got to a new flight level of relevance, of importance, because the traditional papers couldn't deliver so fast, so extensive as the digital branches could. On the other hand, the advertising business in that industry totally turned 100 degrees. POS-oriented businesses had to be locked down and started to stop any advertising at all. But we saw a really astonishing effect in the market that within 2 days, the ad slots that went empty immediately when all campaigns were stopped, those were filled again with new players in the market. Selling masks, selling whatever prepper stuff, all that stuff that were invisible before now rose to new heights and really compensated for the loss of advertising in the digital sphere. On the print side, that didn't happen. There was not this agility of regaining ad spending. So these were two very interesting effects: the interest in news and the change in advertising. And one side effect was also regarding the general relevance of big platforms like Facebook, Google, and so on, in filtering trustful sources versus all these whatever things that were posted. And that also gave a new taste into the market and how people seek for information and where they put trust into it or not. So we saw a very solid change in the market, in the industry for this. And we also saw that the outlets, the media companies reacted in a different way. Those with an advanced digital setup could prosper. And those without that really declined to a certain degree because they had no answer to it. They had no ability to react to the situation.
Excellent viewpoints. Utpal, I want to get your viewpoint on this question too. IBM, obviously, you have lots of customers around the world, big customers, medium-sized customers that use technology, and I'm sure you heard a lot from them in a very short period of time. So it'd be great to get your insight on how you saw this go, happen, and then also what you may think are some of the impacts we'll see in the future.
Sure. Thanks, Tom. I would say COVID-19 has accelerated the digital transformation. When we were talking to our clients on the digital transformation, they had a 3-year, 5-year roadmap. The moment COVID-19 happened, phones started coming to us, clients started reaching to us and saying, how do I accelerate this 3 to 5 year transformation in the next 3, 5 months, 9 months? And tell me, what do I do now? Because if you do not adapt to digital transformation or you do not move to digital, you are at risk of entirely getting your businesses disrupted. And so what we put in place at that time were immediate solutions, next 30 to 60 days, and then obviously helping the clients to accelerate their digital transformation. So Tom, what we are seeing are clients looking for different ways to manage their customer, meet their customer needs. I mean, for example, in my industry, which is telco, media, and entertainment, countries made telecoms essential. I mean, nothing can happen if there were no networks. Everything, even Zoom that we're having right now, is with the help of carriers. So we noticed that companies started moving a lot of their functions on digital, trying to help them. Some of those end-to-end processes, which would require more complex integration, would take time, but the immediate ones, they were leveraging using AI technology.
Great. So it's good to hear that, these companies were agile, and it's not just tech companies, but non-tech companies that have been, accelerating this digital transformation. So I think a question related to this, the COVID and digital, and how this has spurred digital transformation, that question, what does it mean and how was that done? I think Harry would probably be a good one to talk about that, how your company, although, the way you explained it, you're very much a technology-driven company, but maybe talk about what your company has gone through and what you've learned along the way.
Yeah, thank you. We're kind of technology company, but ultimately we build 2.5-ton lumps of metal that move around the place, right? With gasoline, as you said, and all that. That's petrol for the rest of us. The big change for us, right, was that I don't think we'd ever experienced a time when the whole of production stopped, just stopped, right? And it's quite easy to stop production. It's quite hard to start it again. What do you build, right? Where do you send it? How do you manage cash flow when you do that, right? Because every time you build a car, you're creating working capital that might sit on a boat for 6-8 weeks getting somewhere and then sit in a parking lot. What do you do, right? How do you start up a business, that has stopped? And so I think the really big change that we came across, really in the first few days as the crisis hit, was that everyone was trying to say to us, what's the forecast, right? Tell me a forecast. What do I do, you clever AI people? What do I do? Tell me the forecast. And we had to go, and we realized within about 8 hours that the forecast was just rubbish, right? It's rubbish. There's no point. There's no point forecasting because there was no signal that you could make any sense out of, right? AI is not going to help you if there's just nothing to go on. And so what we pushed back on immediately was stop trying to use forecasts, right? AI is not going to tell you how to see the future, but it can tell you how to react to the present, right? And that was a massive change for us. And in fact, how we got involved in Graph, hate to bring it back to Graph, guys, right? But that's one of my things, is we were using the supply chain graph that we created to say, okay, so you can't see the future, but you can react really fast to every signal you see. So if you can't manufacture a wiring harness because all your 40% of your Serbian factory has gone into lockdown, right, which happened to us, right, then what do you do? Where can you get wiring harnesses from? What cars can you make given the things you already have? Given the things you already have, which markets are going to be the right place to send it? Given the markets that are open, which are the cars you should build and what cars you shouldn't build, right? Because if you build the wrong ones and it sits on a boat for 8 weeks and then doesn't sell, well, you've got a lot of working capital doing nothing. So And that's actually carried on through, right? We're kind of in a new system where, yeah, we're going to get back to forecast, but we're never going to be in that kind of tell me what's going to happen over the next 6 months and we'll just set our factories as if we know the future. It's never going to happen again. We're going to be thinking about how we use this stuff to adjust all the time to the signals coming in. And I think that's a really good thing because that's true digital behavior.
Yeah, I know. When it comes to AI, and if the data is not good, you're not going to get good responses. That makes it pretty tough for forecasts. So when your data doesn't look like what it's looked like in the past in a very radical way, you got to turn the models off or rethink those models. And I think that that was a lesson learned by a lot of companies, and something to be aware of for those that are thinking about going into AI and using these sophisticated graph databases and so forth. But on this question too, related to digital transformation and COVID and the impact of it, it's not just brick and mortar companies that have had to adapt and change, but also companies that just are digital companies like an Intuit. So maybe go to Jay here and talk about, how did you respond to this? You have all these big products, you have huge customer bases, and I just did my taxes, by the way. I wait till the last minute, so I use TurboTax. I don't know what else I would ever use, but it worked just fine. So maybe talk a little bit about what you've done over the past year, what you've learned.
Awesome. Just like all the other panelists talk about, COVID, it definitely accelerated the digital transformation for us as well. But we are a very customer-obsessed technology company. So Tom, as you mentioned, we have 50 million tax filers. We have 100 million Credit Karma. By the way, we just acquired Credit Karma early this year. 100 million registered users. We know a lot about people are going through during the hard time. And then also we have 5 million small business accounting. So when COVID first hit, our customer got hit really big. Well, a lot of the customer, not everybody, right? And because as you know, especially, the business in the retail business, in the restaurant business, they got hit so hard. We're so heartbroken to see how they struggle. And in terms of individuals, unfortunately, a lot of individuals got impacted as well. We definitely see their level of income got reduced as a result of that. However, itself also created opportunity. But also when things change, we also notice people bouncing back, business bouncing back. That's actually one of the amazing story about, we believe in humanity. We can always fight anything, right? Somehow businesses, individuals, creative enough, they figure out a way to cope with this. They find creative ways to start new business. Guess what? Digital transformation, online business, that's the way they want to go to. I think that actually enabled them to bounce back. So Tom, you talk about tax. By the way, this year's tax deadline got extended to May 15th. Mm-hmm. So for you guys have not done it, please use TurboTax to finish your return. But I think what we see is something, I think we're blessed. Because as you know, there's still a lot of people went to tax stores, right, to get their taxes done. They rely on CPAs. The traditional means is you actually go visit those physical stores. Guess what? During COVID, that's no longer an option. So people have to move online. And then luckily, we were already on the journey. We believe all technology platform and technology can be augmented with human expertise to help our customer better. So we have a strategy called Virtual Expert Platform. That's part of the platform strategy. When you use our TurboTax first time, you'll struggle because, as you know, anybody new try to switch from offline to online, they struggle. They may not know everything there. When we know that using AI, we notice that we connect you with experts right away, right? And that give you the confidence, the comfort at your home using those remoting technology, our softwares, automatically gather your data, but experts is available to answer your questions to help you finish your return. We see a huge boom in that sector, right? That itself also, as I mentioned, we need AI, but also we need knowledge graph to make the right connection. We need a knowledge graph about experts. We're actually growing big, recruiting experts to be on our platform to help our customers, right? We want to know who they are, what's their expertise, and we want to use knowledge graph or AI to do matchmaking, based on where each customer is. So yeah, in summary, COVID is really, again, help us learn a lot about how our customer going through the change, help us actually accelerate our strategy to be a platform company, not only just providing do-it-yourself software, but also connect you with the experts via this online expert platform.
Great. I think we're getting close to the end here. So I'd like to have the last question be the crystal ball question. This is always hazardous, trying to come up with the predictions of what you may see in the future. But we are approaching this post-COVID-19 world. And, are we going to see some of these trends continue? Or are things going to kind of revert back? And as they relate to even some things like AI and graph, kind of these technologies, are we going to see some permanent changes in adoption? So maybe Jan, maybe we could go with you, and you can provide your kind of some of your projections about what you see going forward.
Well, COVID-19 did change a lot of behavioral patterns. People are getting more and more used to do stuff online, as we heard before, and this changes expectations. And these need to be addressed in a more personal way. You cannot push out one-size-fits-all solutions to everybody. You need to really adapt. And we do see this with the growth of a user base and the demand of interest. We put, as I said, the content connected with a knowledge graph, entities, topics, and references into the graph database. We put the user behavior. What are they interested? Where are they reading? How intense? How clustered? And we use this for editorial assistance to really create a more suiting environment for the reader. Personalization engines based on the graph give them a more fitting, suiting experience. And we do see engagement really developing in a very positive manner. And this is accelerated, and this will stay because the expectation of people towards the digital products will rise. And that is my preview is in a very simple way people are more demanding after this long time of sitting at home and using all digital products.
I think Carrie, maybe go to you next. And by the way, you do have not only the shirt but the background for Graph AI, so I appreciate the enthusiasm.
Tiger. Don't forget the tiger.
Oh, and there. Oh, if I forgot that. Yeah, that's very important.
That's the big thing. What's going to keep going? Look, I mean, I think that we're at a fascinating time. Not only can you see a whole load of kind of, as it were, supply side changes, right? AI is coming in. For example, graph is a perhaps minor part of that right now. It might become bigger. A whole load of technological changes, et cetera, et cetera. And businesses wanting to do things in different ways. But I think we're going to come. One of the big changes that's going to come as a result of COVID is just an appetite for change, right? An appetite for change everywhere. Governments have created huge debts, right? Those are going to, and there's going to be new social contracts as a result of that. People are crying out for a change in the way they work, right? They don't want to necessarily be traveling to work. They've suddenly realized they don't have to travel to work, right? It's probably bad for our company, right? but people are seeing that pollution has come down because we haven't traveled around, right? It's big appetite for environmental changes. You can see people investing in environmental, so social, environmental, political, lots and lots of changes happening around the world, and a massive appetite for that. And how are we going to deliver that kind of level of change that people want? I see the ability for computers to take much of the burden of that, right? If there's going to be a different social contract, how's that going to be delivered to people? It's going to be delivered digitally. How are you going to tailor that to each individual person so you're not wasting stuff? You're going to do it through AI. That's going to be a different contract with society. It's going to be a different contract with the way that we deal with digital data. digital data, or data, right? And all of that. I can see that the big, to me, the big thing is that it's created this enormous appetite for change throughout society, and that AI and these sort of technologies are going to be absolutely crucial to being able to deliver that change and at the same time maintain a degree of social stability, cohesion, and efficiency. Sorry, that was a really big picture answer. Did you want something micro, right? People are going to buy less cars. I don't know.
No, I like the big picture and the focus on, the impact on society. I think, there's a lot of silver lining. There's a lot of bad that has come out of COVID, but there are always silver linings as well. So I think take as much good as we can and go with it. So Jay, what are your predictions, or what do you see going on?
Yeah, I think I agree with Harry. There's a lot of exciting stuff that's going to happen. For me, there's a couple of things. Number one, the ability to handle change, right? Things is changing around. Who knows this could, the virus coming back could go off. Who knows what's the next thing? So the ability to really dealing with change is the most important thing. Guess what? Knowledge graph has that capability, because graph by nature is declarative, it's extensible, it's flexible, right? It also have built-in explainability. So that's all the attributes for building up a technology platform that's really adapt to change. Think about the world of relational schema, even NoSQL. How do you weave all these things together? It's going to be hard. So dealing with change is one of the most important things. The second area is also very important. I think we have one of our team that will share about it. How do you connect knowledge graph, which by design is symbolic AI, with machine learning? It used to be the case, two camps is fight against each other, but now it's the time we need to connect them together. And knowledge graph is a great media to connect to. Think about, knowledge graph can start with human curated knowledge, but can be augmented by machine learned knowledge, and then becomes a virtuous cycle to keep expanding the knowledge, keep connecting the dots, and for you to run a lot of different algorithms mining, sometimes directly on the graph. You don't even need to go for a pipeline, right? That's the power, how you can build a knowledge graph. The more knowledge you have in the graph, the more you can do for everybody. That's the second part. And then third part is, I think Jan also mentioned, is really the behavioral part. Through this whole COVID process, we also understand people may not be rational because they're driven by fear, uncertainty. And those things, sometimes you cannot be easily captured by their data, their raw data about transactions. That's why there's a need for really go into behavior science. And guess what? Behavior is all related to behavioral traits. And underneath it, we also need to figure out a way how these things connect to other parts of data. So again, there's a huge need for using a knowledge graph to integrate all these various things together. So that's why I believe this whole COVID, this whole things we learn from this whole process going to help us really accelerate the digital transformation moving forward. And knowledge graph is the centerpiece for that.
Great. Well, great. I like to end on this great note of optimism from everybody. And I'm so glad that, we're at the, the end, we can see the light at the end of the tunnel here, and the future looks really bright. And I think I think we've reached the end of our conversation here. I want to thank our panelists today for their time and their expertise. I also want to thank those who viewed our presentation. Again, you have many other things to do in your life and in your business, so we're glad you could stop by, and we will be back again, and hopefully you will too. And thanks very much, and have a great day.